It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Without much to fight for championship-wise, the drivers are freed up to aim solely for the glory of victory lane. Let's see if we get a classic out of it as we get ready to watch the penultimate race for the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Cayman Series. I'm Joe Peak, joined once again by Ryan Marine. Ryan, we'll leave the drivers California dreaming today.
Yeah, right, exactly. So here in Northern California wine country, beautiful racetrack, beautiful part of the world. This track opened in 1968. The layout has changed. It's been tweaked a time or two, but this layout we have here, 12 turns, just over 2.5 miles. Tons of elevation change, tons of challenge as well. What a place, this racetrack, and a great venue for the season finale.
Now, they are on their pace lap, so real quickly we'll go through our points. Ian Porter leads in the Cayman Pro-Ams, and Conda needs to outscore him by 33 points or more to try and take the title. So it's going to take a lot for her to have a shot at this one. Meanwhile, down in the Masters standings, how's that one sitting, Ryan?
Well, it's all done and dusted, isn't it, coming into the weekend? That's the good news there, so we don't have to think about the points a whole lot as far as that goes. Michael Clark wrapped up the championship at Road America, and our guest, Victoria Thomas, is awfully happy about that. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I am pretty happy about that.
Well, we'll talk to you in a second. First, we got to go through our starting order for today's race. And on the pole, it is going to be Ian Porter with Carolyn Conda starting in second. And we move on to the second row on this one. And it is Ellen Scalzo starting third and Lottie Unser in P4. From there, you get to Tillman Schmid starting in the fifth position. Bill Pelichewski going to be in P6. You get to the next row, and it is Patrick Dempsey, followed by Michael Clark, our champion-elect, as Bill Finnick will be starting ninth, and then Daniel Ammon in the 10th position. I'll just close them out here as we got just a couple to go. Dan Seville starting in 11th, and Tom Kopczynski starting in 12th. And then Rafa Martinez going to round out our field, flanked at the front and the rear by the Rafa Racing drivers. So already heading out of turn 10 and getting ready as you see them line up in pairs of two. And they'll be released for our second race of the weekend. But our first race for the Caymans here at Sonoma Raceway, penultimate round of our Porsche Sprint Challenge Cayman Championship here in 2024. Going to be an important one for Conda. She really wants to try and beat Ian Porter for the second time this season. Last time, she had a little help from penalties and some damage on his car. Can she do it straight up this time? There's the green flag, and they head out towards turn one, flat out as they pick up speed before they have to break into turn two. It's a good jump for Ian Porter, as Carolyn not able to get by. A little bit of side-by-side racing for fourth as Lonnie Unser looks like she is going to battle with Tillman Schmid there, Ryan.
That's a great battle, and it's not done yet. Oh, late on the brakes there, but ultimately it does get settled out as they get to the top of the hill. Good start by the pole sitter as expected. Ian Porter able to control the race. Carolyn Conda, though, not short on confidence here this this weekend, Joe. She's going to try and keep him honest over the course of 35 minutes plus one lap.
Yeah, she does not want to lose touch with him on this one. Scalzo, in the meantime, is going to want to try and hold on to that lead down in the Masters so he can at least get himself another victory to wrap this up. And it does look like he will hold on to that third for now. It's a good start here for Ian Porter, already pulling himself a couple car lengths over his French compatriot.
Well, you mentioned the French-speaking compatriot there, certainly, Alan from French-speaking Canada. But quickly to the battle we were talking about earlier there with Lonnie Unser and Tillman Schmidt, it did look like Tillman was able to pull that pass off and take the final step of the podium in the Pro-Am class. Really nice job by those two, though, going door to door. And Victoria Thomas from the Kelly Moss team, you had a vested interest in that battle. I could tell you were a little bit nervous, right?
Well, there's a lot of race left, and I think that one of the ways that Lonnie is really good is at patience. But, she's got a competitor there. He had a great move on her, and we'll just see how it all shakes out.
Right now, she still holds on to that fourth place to complete, she is down to fifth place to complete the first lap as Tillman was able to jump up that one position, but we're riding on board with Conda, who is about a half a second back after the first lap. Definitely going a little wide there, coming up into turns 2 and off into 3, but does look like she's busy on the wheel, Ryan.
Yeah, certainly so. It's a busy part of the racetrack. Frankly, it's all busy around this place. There's not any place to catch your breath, and that's doubly true these days with the repave of the circuit that happened over the winter. Sections of the track where maybe you weren't needing to be as fully committed in the past, that's all out the window now. This place right here, super high commitment, big challenge in this downhill plunge through the carousel. And if you drop a wheel at exit there, we've seen that catch out a couple of drivers over the course of the weekend. Conda doing her best to keep Porter in her crosshairs, but Ian Porter's been a tough guy to beat over the course of this 2024 season.
It's 35 minutes plus a lap for our races, so this is still very early doors for our drivers. And coming down through the S's, you can see the breakaway for those two Rafa Racing drivers before we pan back to the rest of the field heading into the braking zone. Definitely a fight looking like it's kind of building up as Schmid and Pelichowski and Clark are very close together. In fact, I think Pelichowski might have some company behind him.
It looks that way, doesn't it? Great battle breaking out there in the mid-pack. But look at Conda. She's closed in, did a great job through the chicane, and got a good run out of there into the hairpin. And Porter's not been able to pull away. Meantime, is that Scalzo with an issue? He was the leader in the Masters class.
Going slow coming out of the hairpin. I don't know if he made contact with the wall because I didn't see what looked like any significant damage there, but you could easily pancake the left-hand side if you go a little bit too wide there. We'll try and see if we can figure out what happened. Yeah, there's no markings on the left-hand side of the car, so this must be some sort of mechanical or electronic issue.
You hate to see it for Alain, who has had five straight poles in the class. But this is shades of the last race at Road America where he started on pole but ultimately finished 12th due to some misfortune in that race. He looked like he had this well under control, but now comes to a stop on the front straightaway, and it looks like a yellow flag is almost a sure thing here if he can't get that car pulled away. Right now covered by a local yellow.
I can hear him trying to refire the car from where we're sitting, and it's revving, but it's not going anywhere. So, yeah, very strange happenings. And if it doesn't go anywhere, that's a street course-like portion of the circuit. Surely they're going to have to bring out the safety car.
And we do see double yellows displayed. There you see it on the screen as well. Full course yellow. Bill Pelichowski, with the misfortune for Alain Scalzo, has taken the lead in the Masters class. And you talked about the company he's got behind him. Patrick Dempsey was breathing down his neck before the yellow. Michael Clark is up to third in class after not having the qualifying that we were anticipating from him. So I think when we do get this race restarted, it's going to be a hornet's nest there in the mid-pack overall, and certainly for those podium positions in Masters.
Victoria, obviously this isn't too bad of news for you and your drivers, because now Lonnie finds herself one position up, and a restart might offer opportunities for her to sneak back by.
Yeah, we've got our fingers crossed. She's got a big rooting team here with her this weekend with the True Stage team here that is allowing us the opportunity to grow our sport through diversity by supporting Lonnie Unser. So I think that she's got a little extra motivation to show them that they did the right thing by helping bring her into this actual race.
And for Michael Clark, another one of your drivers, Victoria, also good for him to have that gap closed down. Can you shed some light on how qualifying went for him? Because we were up here kind of wondering if Michael wasn't quite happy with his race car or just caught traffic at the wrong time. Can you shed some light?
Yeah, it was not a very good qualifying, but ultimately it was really nice to be able to let the qualifying go and know that really he just needed to take the green flag to have success. So sometimes there's things that go wrong in racing, and part of this racecraft is being able to focus forward. It's one of the things, the mindset part is one of the things that we talk about a lot with our drivers. The last race we had a situation where we had a lot of damage that ended up happening, and being able to keep people focusing forward is always really important.
For Michael, new to your team this year, he was third in points a year ago and then comes in and joins up with you. What did you see in his driving last year and his personality as well in the paddock that made you think he'd be such a good fit and now champion-elect in the Masters class?
Well, if you've ever spent any time with Michael and his wife, Elizabeth, they're just the best people. And I think that a lot of times just the confidence that having a team like Kelly Moss with our pedigree brings to a driver, if they recognize that we believe enough in them, they're able to kind of take an extra leap that they might not be able to, kind of a Dumbo's feather thing maybe. Not saying there's any Dumbos. But
No. It's a good analogy. I'm not sure I've heard that one before, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And whatever it is, the secret sauce has been there seemingly from the beginning of the year. He had that stretch of 4 straight wins, and despite Joe's efforts to put the hex on him, he continued to drive so well over the course of the season.
Yeah, well, it is a very superstitious group of people,
is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Very oddly. We've got a lot of engineers and brilliant minds, and yet a lot of superstition.
Do you buy into it? Do you believe in Joe's ability to hex people? By speaking positive things about them, I might add.
I'm going to go on record as saying I believe that it is official that Michael Clark has won the championship at this point, which means that perhaps the power is being lost a little bit if there's no hex, because he did it.
I appreciate the vote of confidence. Thank you.
Well, now you're free to say whatever you want about Michael because he's clinched the title, right?
Yeah, exactly. This definitely makes life a little bit nicer for him, and I'm very curious, honestly, to see what's going to happen between himself and Dempsey. He lost that position just before that caution came out. And they've got Bill Pelichewski, who we've been talking a lot about how he is on quite a streak. So between the star power of Patrick and the momentum being on the side of Bill, I think Michael's got his work cut out for him today.
It looks that way. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's really incredible, and I'm not sure how much we've, had the opportunity to talk about the fact that these Masters have really brought it this year. All of them competing. You're watching qualifying, and they're up there with some of the young guns, and it's really very refreshing to see how much excitement there is for this racing series. And having Patrick Dempsey come, certainly a lot of enthusiasm that was also brought kind of mainstream by having him choose this series and to race with us. And quite honestly, he's a heck of a racer. So we're really excited about everything that's happened this season. I can't believe it's the last race of the season.
Yeah, the thought crossed my mind as well, and maybe if we have some more downtime throughout this race, we can ask you about what 2025 looks like from a Kelly Moss perspective. But right now, the good news is that Alan Scalzo's car has been retrieved, and it looks like, Joe, we should be going back to green here very soon. Yeah,
I see the lights out on the safety car, so that means should be entering pit lane. And control will be given back to Ian Porter, who you'll see in the orange and white Rafa Racing machine. Can he get away for a second time? And will Carolyn be able to take any fight to him on the restart? Again, a big thank you to Victoria Thomas, who came and had a great chat with us here. And like we said, hopefully we'll get to talk a little bit later. In the meantime, she is going to be replaced by Ashley Freiberg, one of the Kelly Moss drivers, and also my co-commentator for part of the season over on the USA West Series as we go back to green flag racing and head up the hill. Does look like it is a pretty good start here for Ian Porter here in these Caymans. Ashley, it's been fun watching how these cars handle the new pavement.
Yeah, this track is a ton of fun. Lonnie and I, we both coach here in street cars normally, so it's really fun to drive proper race cars on the racetrack now, and these Caymans are super fast through the corners. They look like they're a ton of fun as well.
Looks like Bill Pelichewski now having to deal with Patrick Dempsey behind.
Up with longtime co-driver Patrick Long. They've raced at Le Mans together and other big races as well. So that should be a lot of fun, but Patrick Dempsey right now doing a wonderful job. He's looking for potentially a race win here. That's the car he's chasing. The orange machine is the class leader, and Patrick Dempsey hot on his heels.
Wasn't able to get down to the inside coming into the chicane. They swing through turn 10 up to the hairpin now, and our two leaders, at least in the Pro-Ams, continue to run away from the rest of the field, putting some distance on what is now third place Tillman Schmid in behind them. They'll get going for a full green flag lap of racing now on this latest restart with about 22 minutes plus one lap on the clock, and they're looking a little bit strung out in the field after that one, so that definitely kind of put the dampers on some of our battles, but certainly not all of them.
Well, Ashley, you're fresh out of the race car. You had a race earlier today, which I know didn't exactly go according to plan. You were fighting for a podium. Actually, we never got to see the incident. We'll talk about that in a second because Patrick Dempsey looks like might be in a position to maybe put a move on Bill Pelichewski here. Help us get into this battle, though, if you could, Ashley. What is Patrick looking for here? Where might be the places where he could try and make an attack?
Yeah, certainly Sonoma is a track where car placement is so crucial, corner after corner, lap after lap. And with the Yokohama tires, you don't want to slide the car too much, really keeping the tire underneath you. So I'm sure what Patrick is looking for is any type of weakness that he sees. However, it looks like Williams really holding his own here. Oh, he's coming up to the inside here. Oh, no.
Oh, he's going to turn him, and that is going to send him around facing the wrong way, thankfully off the racing line. So our Masters leader, unfortunately, has lost it in a bit of a dramatic way. Not sure if that's going to result in any sort of penalty. And it does seem, as I guess you experienced yourself, Ashley, that some drivers having to get their elbows out and get a little rough to make passes.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was the best opportunity to make a pass happen. I find with this track, you really have to set your pass up well in advance and try to get them more so in the brake zones rather than trying to get to the apex. And certainly that apex in turn 7 is really steep, that curb. So it looked like he bounced off the curb, and that kind of upset his car and shot him down. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a similar situation. Neither of us were wanting to really give it up, but I think Jared, just really charged in after turn 8 and kind of misjudged his speed there. Very similar to this, to where he bounced off the curb and ran into me. So it's just tricky. This track doesn't have a ton of passing opportunities. Your best opportunity is in a brake zone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if you were watching that broadcast, we did not know this at the time, but post-race, a penalty was issued to Jared Thomas. So we were talking about him being on the podium. That's going to be adjusted post-race, and we'll clean some of that up on the 992, 991 broadcast tomorrow. But right now, at the front of the field, Ian Porter still leading Carolyn Condit, but she looks really strong through this section of the track, Joe. The last few laps, she's been able to close in through this chicane and down to the hairpin.
One of the things that we've talked to her a lot about is that she's been working with coaches on getting used to these rear-wheel drive cars and managing the tires, because we've seen this frequently early in the race that she can hold on, but then it starts to fall off because she's not used to trying to hold on to those tires the same way that her other front-wheel drive cars were. I'm kind of curious to see whether or not she can kind of hold on a little bit longer this time and maybe later in the race take the fight to him.
Certainly she's got that ability. She got that big win at Watkins Glen earlier in the season. It was extra special because her family was there as well. to watch and take that in person. Ashley, I don't know how well you know Carolyn, but have you been kind of keeping an eye on her and her progress, making that transition from touring cars in Europe to the rear-wheel drive Porsches here in the States?
Yeah, she's doing an amazing job. I mean, I always love seeing women up towards the front of the field, both her and Lonnie doing an amazing job. And yeah, Carolyn's strong right from the start, and I could see she's definitely a similar personality to me. She's very driven, focused, and a hard worker, so it's cool to see her progress.
There is an intensity to her, isn't there?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Watching Lonnie Unser try and fight with Tillman Schmid for that third spot still. She hasn't been able to get by. Also an update, there was a penalty for Patrick Dempsey, so he has served that, which means the lead now goes to Bill Finnick. And I'll have to check and see if he's actually had a win yet this season, because I don't believe he has. And indeed, no, he has not, although he's gotten a lot of podiums lately. So big opportunity here, Ashley, falling right into his lap.
Yeah, they're showing Lonnie right on the tail of Tillman there. She's trying to fight for a podium, trying to see what opportunity she could find there as well.
Looked like it was close coming down into the hairpin before they went out of shot there. But moving back, I think we're seeing Bill Finnick now being chased by Michael Clark, who remains in second. With Daniel Ammon getting promoted up into the 7th spot. And actually an amazing run here from Tom Kopczynski. I think 4th place is one of the higher positions we've seen him run in all season.
It would be a season best for Tom, that's for sure. He's got Eric Filgaris, who was on the broadcast with us for the Cup cars earlier today. That's his coach, kind of talking him through all of this. He's done a good job to avoid some of the chaos that's been erupting around him in that Masters field. But you talked about what a story it would be for Bill Finnick. That's the white car at the front of this shot here with the black hood. He had a miserable weekend at Road America. So many did. We went, unfortunately, through a lot of cars that weekend. And Bill, his enthusiasm is irrepressible, right? And he showed up here with a big smile, ready to go. But I'm not sure he saw himself in this position either coming into the weekend, out in front with a chance to go for a win.
If he can take victory, I can only imagine the celebrations that we're going to be seeing, but he's going to have to work for it, because look at this on screen. That's the 17 of Michael Clark closing in and making this a real race. In fact, it's not very far back to Ammon as well as Kopczynski. In fact, the top 4 looking like they're separated by barely more than a second.
Fantastic stuff here at the front of the field in Masters. By the way, Porter has extended his lead over Conda now to about a second and a half. He's found some pace relative to Carolyn over the last few laps. But this is definitely the battle to watch. 1st through 4th, nose to tail in the Masters class. Bill Finnick in an unfamiliar position at the front of the field, and Michael Clark in very familiar position, fighting for a podium, perhaps another win, as he looks to close out a championship-winning season.
Lonnie's really laying the pressure on here, and she wants this one. She's had some good results lately with back-to-back podiums at Road America. I think this would be podium number 4 if she can manage to get by Tillman Schmid. So she wants to try and end this one on an upswing if she can. Tillman, like we said, with a bit of a partial season himself, so doing an impressive job in that 77 to hop back in the car on demand and really perform.
He had podiums in both of the races at Sebring, but that was all the way back in March. Now, he's only run a handful of races since then, but would desperately love to get back on the podiums. Got a chance to do that here today. Now, Ashley, you mentioned that you and Lonnie, you do some coaching here at Sonoma, and a lot of the drivers I've talked to say this place, maybe more than most, having local knowledge makes a really big difference. That's been your experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. The stuff that we teach, we actually will park in certain corners, get out of the car, and really analyze the elevation changes, the pavement changes, all those things like that. And this course is so sensitive to your car placement and how you're using the pedals and the wheel and everything. So having that knowledge in advance, I think certainly has helped me, and I'm sure Lonnie would agree.
When you do your coaching, is it as educational for you? Does it give you a chance to see some things you wouldn't see normally?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I love, first of all, sharing my passion and making people better drivers, but then it really forces us to really think outside the box and try to word things in a way that everybody understands. So, and also just that repetitiveness of saying things over and over. It makes you a better driver for sure.
You have to try and do the same thing over and over inside the car. So I can imagine just nailing that into your head certainly helps as we watch that fight for P3 up and over the crest of turn 2, switching back into 3 and 3A. Still no way to get by for that purple and white number 4 machine. If you were inside the cockpit right now there with Lonnie, where are you seeing chances? Where are you seeing opportunities here, Ashley?
Yeah, I'm sure she's really trying to analyze where the strengths and weaknesses are. And what I'm really noticing, and I've noticed myself, is ultimately just not making a mistake. Here, if you make a small mistake, a gap gets created, and it looks like it's kind of on both ends. One lap, the car in front's a little faster, and one lap, Lonnie's, gaining a little bit. So it's just finding that consistency and figuring out where the strengths are and making an opportunity in a brake zone. So she tends to get pretty close in turn 11, so I'm sure she's trying to really maximize the chicane and her exit out of there.
You can see them coming up to that portion of the track right here, out of the S's, flows into a drop in elevation down the hill into that chicane. She stays glued to the back of that 77. Can she get the launch off the corner? It's looking pretty solid, but is it good enough is the question.
This is 3rd and 4th on the road, 3rd and 4th in the Pro-Am class. This is happening about 8-9 seconds behind the top 2 overall. Lonnie took a little furtive peek up the inside, but decided against it. Conda, though, has reeled Porter back in over the last couple of corners, the last couple of laps. It was a 1.5 seconds. It's down to 0.8 seconds in the fight for the overall win here. It's only 0.8 seconds first to second in the Masters class, too. Everywhere you look, you've got a battle to watch.
Well, like I said at the top of the show, it's pressure is off here, so there's a good chance that we could get a real great race out of our drivers with it all being about that victory. It's already maybe pushed a few beyond the limits as we've seen a penalty and we've seen leaders find themselves facing the wrong way on the circuit. A little bit of a slide from what I could see there out of Tillman coming down through turn 4. That allows Lonnie to get ever closer. Oh, Ashley, she's looking like she's very good here.
I love that she's showing a nose in a lot of the brake zones as well, just showing that she's there. It doesn't really look like she wants to pass in those moments, but just laying on the pressure.
Ooh, gets him to be off the apex, coming down to the hairpin, at least the first of the 2 apexes, but not able to get to the inside of that blue and white machine. So she'll have to sit behind once again, maybe try to regroup for a little later. Once again, looking slightly offline now is Schmid through the S's, allowing Lonnie to close back up. Sends it down through the chicane, looking for that run, coming off and into turn 10.
Do you have a favorite one around Sonoma? Is there one that's better than the rest?
I mean, it's really tough to say because I think this track is just one of those tracks you find your opportunity when you do. Maybe turn 4, maybe into 6, definitely turn 7, the chicane. Oh, she's looking. Oh, it's a tough one there in turn 3, though. It's a really fast corner.
That was not one you listed.
No, it was not. I love the optimism, though. She's really pushing, so he's clearly seeing her behind him, so who knows? I think maybe she might be able to get him before the end.
Well, how tough is this for Tillman, not running a full season, in and out of the car? There might be months in between races. I know you've been there in your career from time to time. It's a real challenge, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know if he runs on a sim or anything, but certainly hopping in the car after not driving for a while is definitely tough, especially, like I said, a track like this where you have to be super precise. So he's doing an amazing job as well. This is a good battle.
This is a fantastic battle again, managing to get him off the apex, but I wonder if he was just able to carry that speed a little bit better, because twice now we've seen him leave a car's width down on the inside and yet not give up the position. But we're starting to see those mistakes, some kinks in the armor there of the number 77 is Lonnie chips away and keeps putting the pressure on lap after lap. Less than a car length back as they accelerate off of the chicane. This is, I think, one of the closest moments we've seen from her coming up to 11.
She's been close here before. Again, looking at the inside, Tillman just covers that move off. Buddy drifts wide, opens the door for them to go side by side, and they make contact down the pit straight.
Pieces fly off as they come towards the start-finish line. She is going to start to move ahead.
Nice.
I don't know if he maybe gave that up because of how he felt about that contact, or if maybe something on the going on that one. She did a really good job to come up the inside on the exit of the corner. Not something that you usually see as much in racing. And I'm kind of curious also if the stewards are going to have any sort of look at the contact, because no harm, no foul as far as the racing is concerned. It carries on with both cars still moving and nobody getting spun around. But now Lonnie is in that third position. And they've been running at a pretty good pace. While they are a bit behind our top two, they've dropped the cars in 5th, 6th, and 7th by about 12 seconds.
Did just get a message from race control about an incident under review involving Ammon and Kopczynski. That is 3rd and 4th in Masters, but to my eye, they still run in the same positions that they did prior to this review. We'll have to get that confirmed. Yeah, indeed, I see them on the track out the window. They still run 3rd and 4th and relatively near one another, so we'll see what comes of that review from race control. But both of those guys having career days right now. You'd hate to see any of that come undone.
Certainly. So as we watch our overall leader, with Conda remaining within 1 second, or at least close to a second behind Ian Porter. We've only got 6 minutes plus 1 lap left on the clock. That battle that we were watching there with Lonnie and Tillman definitely took away a lot of our time. Time flies when you're having fun. And this battle for the top spot deserves a little bit of attention, although it's certainly not close enough for the 84 to go on attack quite yet.
No, it's been interesting to watch the gap ebb and flow between these two. It's been as close as about a half a second and as wide as about a second and a half, and they found the median between that at the moment at just about 1 second between the top two cars here. Porter in the orange car and Carolyn in the green and white car, running in the second spot, the same positions that they started this race in. But Ian's got to be on his toes here. One little miscue, and Carolyn's still close enough where she can pounce.
There's such an interesting dynamic between these two, Ryan, because you have to consider everything we've got to know of Ian. He just expects nothing but perfection from himself. Comes in and wants to dominate like this, whereas we've got Carolyn, like you said, a bit of a feisty little driver, an intense person who also kind of expects the best out of herself. And I feel like we've sort of seen that clashing of these two titans come together inside this team.
Yeah, it's been fun because you know that they're in equal equipment. You know that they have each other's data to look at. There's really no secrets between the two of them as teammates. But ultimately what it comes down to the performance on the track. And I think for Carolyn, it's a big transition coming to a new country, the communication difference from French to English, and then learning all new circuits, a new rear-wheel drive platform as well, coming from touring car racing, which she has done over the course of her career. It's a lot for her to process in this first year, but it seems to be that her gap relative to Ian has shrunk as the season has progressed, and she finds herself right here very much in contention.
100%. She's been keeping tabs on him the entire race. Like I said, in the past, we've seen her start to drop off later in the races. Her pace kind of falters with a lack of grip, and here it is staying dead consistent and not allowing him to run away from her. And I guess the good thing on that front, Ashley, is that she's forcing him to have to be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just wanted to point out, change of the lead here. Great job by the camera crew to pick this up. Michael Clark, the champion-elect, has gone to the point around Bill Finnick in the Masters class.
Big one there. So not sure when exactly that happened, and it looks like it's about a second and a half between them. We're just getting glances of Finnick in the background, so he's been scooting away since then, whatever it happened.
Didn't mean to interrupt your previous conversation, though. I can't remember. What did you put to Ashley there?
You know, I can't even remember. I know we were talking, I think, about Carolyn and trying to really fight to hold on and keep the pressure on to Ian Porter. That's what it was, forcing him to keep from making any mistakes. She's there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, she actually gained 0.3 that last lap, so who knows? I mean, there's not much time remaining, but you just never know at a track like this, and the temperature is rising. Pavement changes when the temperature gets hot. I've noticed some of the patches of sealer out there get quite slippery, and they change the handling of the car quite a bit, so we'll see how this turns out.
Well, in comparison to our previous race with the Cup cars, a slightly smaller field, so I guess good news / bad news for Ian and Carolyn is that there isn't any traffic that they're approaching in these final few minutes. So it's going to be a straight fight between them. But if you're Conda, you're probably kind of wishing there was something to throw a wrench in the gears.
I suspect you're right, but that's not the way it's going to play out here with 2 minutes plus a lap to go. She continues to close in. Gets just that little bit closer. She's looked threatening like this at times over the course of the race, but then Ian, it seems like he's got something in reserve when he needs to, and he can go to it and build that gap again. And we should note the championship implications of this. Michael Clark is the champion-elect already in the Masters class. That was a done deal more or less coming into the weekend. This would seal the deal for Ian Porter as they run. In fact, even if Carolyn made the pass, it would be enough, but certainly a chance to go and clinch a championship with a race to go and to do it with a race win. That would be a big feather in the cap for Ian Porter in his first season of professional racing.
Yeah, effectively, I think once this race started and Ian took the green flag, I think that must have done it, because the worst he could finish is 5th in class, and I think that's 36 points. So with 60 points for a win, yeah, that would have done it essentially there. And all he has to do is cruise home to victory. Now, knowing him, he intends to try and cruise home to victory no matter what the point situation is.
Yeah, it's interesting. His background, of course, in competitive esports as a former world champion at that level. He's used to the pressure. We had a really interesting conversation with his coach, Alec Udell, yesterday, didn't we, Joe, about not really being concerned about the fact that Ian hasn't found himself under pressure much in the course of his racing career. As he progresses through the ranks, we know that's something he's going to have to deal with. But Alec's point was, look, he dealt with that for years, competing at the highest level in his previous sport, or esport, I guess. So a lot of that, the mental side of it, transitions really nicely into the race car as well.
I think his mental game has honestly been one of the most impressive things about him coming in and really stepping into this role so easily. And it looks like we are getting the white flag this time by as the clock just hit 0. And there we go. Given from the flag stand, one more lap if Conda wants to try and best him in this first race of the weekend for the Caymans. They have pulled a monstrous gap over the next cars back. The pace has been relentless, and I have to imagine the 84 staying glued on that bumper is probably something to do with how hard they're pushing.
No question about it. Ian Porter's had no chance to take a break in this race. The pressure has been constant from Carolyn Conda, who has that lead down under a second again. She's right there, ready to pick up the pieces, like you've said, Joe, if anything should go awry for Ian, but he's been picture perfect, starting from pole, consolidated that lead early on, and really hasn't had to do too much in the way of playing defense. Like I said earlier, it seemed like when he needs to draw upon his reserves, he's got something he can go to help build that gap again, and now he's a half a lap away from heading off into the season finale tomorrow with a race win and a championship in the bag.
For some reason, Kopczynski just dropped a bunch of positions on our tower on the left-hand side, and I'm trying to see if I can find what happened to the 8 car, but it's clearly something has happened here, Ryan.
Yeah, incident responsibility, stop and hold is the penalty, with additional penalties pending, I'm told, from race control.
That's not a good sign, but for Ian and Carolyn, the sign is going to be a checkered flag here in just a moment as they come through the final hairpin at Sonoma. Porter soaked up the pressure once again, and he is going to take victory and a championship with the win at Sonoma as the team celebrates at the wall. Carolyn with an excellent second, just coming up short by a little over a second on the clock. Waiting to see what's going to happen with Lonnie Unser. What a fight that was with Tillman Schmid, and she will get her fourth podium, of the season here in California. And then it's a little ways before we get to Michael Clark here, but that looks like he's got that first place in a solid spot right now.
Yeah, Michael had to come from further back than he would have liked, but here he comes across the line. His first victory since the spring, but he is the champion, and he's got one more race to add to that win tally, looking to the finale tomorrow.
Great run by Bill Finnick regardless. No, it wasn't a win, but he gets another podium to add to his tally that's building up, and Daniel Ammon bringing himself onto that Masters podium as well, Ryan.
Yeah, for Michael Clark, like I said, fifth win of the season, but he hadn't won since Circuit of the Americas all the way back in May, but he gets the job done here today to head off into the offseason with another win under his belt and that championship that he secured at Road America. Another championship done and dusted. That's Ian Porter, who holds on for the race win here today and also fends off Carolyn Conda in the championship battle too in the Cayman Pro-Am class. Tremendous job by Ian Porter all season long, and Carolyn Conda again will settle for second place, but I think she's got some designs on trying to end the season with a race win. Looking ahead to tomorrow, Lonnie Unser completing the overall podium in that third spot. A lot of excitement in the race today, good battles throughout the field. A couple of what might have been types of moments, that battle early in the going with Patrick Dempsey and Bill Pelichowski. Unfortunately, both of their days came undone with that contact early in the going. But nevertheless, it opened the door for a great story there in the Masters class with Michael Clark taking victory. Bill Finnick, what a great result for him to get a second place after not being able to take part in the races at Road America. And Dan Ammon on the podium too. What a fantastic result for the Kiwi. Daniel Ammon, who with that would be his first podium of the year in the Cayman class. So outstanding job for Dan, who was on track earlier today in a Cup car, doing double duty as he's done most of this season. So that's a brief look at the results, provisional of course, pending any kind of post-race technical inspection or incident evaluation by race control. With that, we'll take a quick timeout, and when we come back, Joe Peak will have your podium festivities here from Sonoma Raceway. And time for podium festivities. Let's head down to Joe Peak.
All right, it's time for our podium ceremonies for Porsche Sprint Challenge North America, Cayman. In race 1 for our Masters category, driving the number 69, third place goes to Daniel Ammon. Then in second place, racking up podiums at the end of the season, driving the number 15, Bill Fennick. And our winner, coming back from a qualifying that he wasn't quite as happy with, driving the number 17 and fighting through the field, our winner's Michael Clark. Congratulations, Michael. It's been a bit, actually, since you've been on the top step. So what does it feel like to finally return?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, it was a lot of luck on this race. There was a lot of attrition, but, that's half the battle. It's just got to stand to the end and make sure you cross the finish line. So I had a little luck on my side today, but I'm not going to, say no to it. Yep.
Well, speaking of luck, your boss said that I'm now welcome to talk about how good you are because the curse is over since you've wrapped the championship. Can I say how good you've done?
I appreciate it, yes. Yeah, it's fine. I owe it all really to the team out there. They are fantastic. Andrew has found speed in me that I knew was there. I just didn't know how to get out. My crew chief, Jake, I've given him some challenges, and he's answered every single time. And just everyone in that paddock is just amazing. And so just thank you to all of them.
Congratulations on the win. Great way to wrap it up.
I also couldn't do it without my beautiful wife because I wouldn't be here without her, and she's the one that keeps me going. It's a little bittersweet because I made a pact at the beginning of the season that she gets a new handbag for every podium I get. So it's been a little expensive, but we're all right.
I think that's a sacrifice he's willing to make. Congratulations to our winner, Michael Clark. Let's show off those trophies for the cameras. And to celebrate, let's spray some champagne. Those are your podium finishers for your Cayman Masters category. And we'll want to keep Michael up here. Michael, if you want to stay for a second. Because we have another award for Michael Clark. Our Apexon Award goes to the hardest charger of the race, and this time it was the number 17 of Michael Clark. Congratulations. What a day for Michael Clark. Certainly one to remember, and he still has one more to go for this season. That takes us to the Cayman Pro-Am now. Finishing third, driving the number 4 machine, it was Lonnie Unser. Then in second today, driving the 84, Carolyn Conda. And finally, soaking up the pressure all race long, in the number 86, our winner, Ian Porter. Ian, that was a close one all the way through, not having more than a second and a half the entire race. Were you feeling that from inside the car?
Definitely. That was probably one of the funnest races I've had this entire season, and you know, Caroline was really making me work for it, and I think the only thing I needed to do to clinch the season championship was just finish the race. But you know, me being me, I wanted to go out and win, so that's the only thing I want to do.
Well, we've come to know that you expect nothing but perfection out there. So does that mean that you're going to come back and try and do it again tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Go ahead.
All right. Well, congratulations once again to our victor here in the Cayman Pro-Ams. It's Ian Porter. And that, of course, means that now it's time to celebrate a little bit. So why don't we spray some champagne? Huge congratulations once again to our podium finishers in the Pro-Am. One more race to go tomorrow, but also one more race to go today. We have the USA West Series up next in a few moments. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
It's time to go racing for Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West at Sonoma Raceway in beautiful Northern California wine country. The first of 2 races here this weekend and the final 2 races of the 2024 campaign. My name is Ryan Marine. Joe Peak will be alongside shortly, and it's our pleasure to have Aaron Chanson joining us in the booth for this broadcast as well. Winner earlier today. He's got his winner's hat on as he speaks with us now in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America race earlier today. Congratulations are in order, first of all. Well done. And you'll have pole position for race 2 tomorrow, right?
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was hard to expect a win starting in second with it being so difficult to pass here. And Paul Bocuse obviously has great pace. Just had to be patient there and try to find an opportunity. Found one, got it done. A little bit more confident tomorrow starting on pole. That's going to be great.
It'll be a lot of fun. If you missed the race earlier today, it was a really good one. Check it out up on YouTube or on Flow. And, of course, race 2 coming up tomorrow. But right now, focus is on the USA West competitors. Mixed class racing here with Cup cars as well as Caymans. Here's the starting grid. Blake McDonald starts on pole position alongside Anthony McIntosh. That's row number 1. Row 2, Casey Dennis and Patrick Mulcahy set to roll off in 3rd and 4th positions, respectively. To the 3rd row, Sam Parnagian and James Lee starting 5th and 6th for the first of 2 races this weekend here today. Kevin Woods next to Luke French back in the 4th row of the grid. Row 5 belongs to Josh Conley and Dmitry Novikov for Reardon Racing starting in the 10th spot. To row number 6 now with Brandon Hankins debuting this weekend alongside the Monterrey, Mexico native Joel Cortez. He'll start in 12th. Row number 7 on the grid goes to Jim Walsh and Kyle Washington doing double duty USA West as well as North America here this weekend. He'll be driving the GMG eBoost Super Fuel machine. Laura Eli will roll off in the 15th spot and James Slavic will start in 16th. Really good qualifying effort there. We get into Jay Barron here for GMG and Michael Zoybach. He'll start in 18th. To the 10th row, Reinhold Kron is set to roll off in 19th. And Eli Kogan in the Cayman next to Greg Checky on debut. Doing a good job here on home soil. His daughter Anna Checky will start behind in the 2nd row of the Cayman grid next to Michael Gawkey. And then we get to row 3 of the Caymans with Richard Kenzie and Rafa Martinez doing double duty this weekend as well. Field in good alignment, Joe. We're about to go green for race 1 of the weekend here at Sonoma.
Exactly. So as the drivers head towards the start-finish line, we wait patiently to see how McDonald handles McIntosh this time. Looking for the call from the starter. He's holding them a long, long time, and there it is. Green flag is out. It's a good jump from Blake as they come down into turn 1. They swing up the hill. It is frantic in the back of the field as some drivers almost look 4 wide for a brief moment, and it's a big slide from Anthony as he heads over the hill of turn 2, Ryan.
Yeah, really big slide there. Great job to catch it side by side a little bit further back in the pack. In the meantime, we've got the Caymans getting started here as well, but look at this Hornet's Nest at the top of the hill. That's the high point of the circuit, and now the big plunge down the hill roaring towards the carousel.
That looked like that was Patrick Mulcahy, and quite the fight there with Casey Dennis, who is trying desperately to get into that 3rd position. He's still looking for it as he goes underneath him, coming down through the carousel, barely given enough space before he's chopped off late in the apex. He's still with him. They got to watch out from behind because I think that is potentially Sam Parnagian, who is kind of hovering around.
Really tight quarters racing and a lot of aggressive moves, including up and over the curb there. Side-by-side contact, but everyone able to continue on. That's a good thing because that could have ended in tears.
Thankfully, everybody still pointed the right way and still continuing on here in race number 1 for the weekend for USA West. Down the inside, slicing through, almost makes it. Casey Dennis is really trying to make something of this, but it's biting him because here comes Parnagian, almost able to overtake. Now Parnagian is the one under attack as they head towards the braking of the final corner, and unfortunately he can't cover it off in time.
That's amazing how quickly you can go from offense to defense around this place. They're side by side, multiple rows through the field. Oh, and we got someone off. That's one of the Checkies. Car 12 off into the tire bearing, and it looks like pretty big contact. I think that's Greg.
That's both of them.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. Anna and Greg both off the circuit. It's hard to tell where exactly that was. There's an unusual spot that I'm not as familiar with. Still not seeing a full course yellow. And, oh, that's at the hairpin. That is wild. So they must have really come steaming in there to send that yellow car of Greg all the way out to the tires. And I believe we have a full course yellow now. So the drivers are slowing down. There was quite the fight happening between James Lee and Sam Parnagian for position before that got put down.
Well, let's bring in Aaron Johnson here to give us some analysis. What a first lap that was. A lot of close quarters racing. Unfortunately, two of the locals who you know well from their time here with the Turn 2 Club, their race cut short.
Man, that was, that's not an enjoyable one to see. I know Greg and Anna pretty well, and I've been really impressed with Anna with very little racing experience to be as fast as she is immediately. It's been extremely impressive, and her and Greg have really good competitive battles back and forth. I have no idea what happened there. We saw pieces off the cars. It looks like just some freak accident must have happened. But they're part of the Turn 2 representation that we have here on and off the track, and there's a ton of members out this weekend in full support of Greg and Anna, myself, and others. So that's a tough one.
Hate to see it.
You mentioned the part off the car. Makes me wonder if there was a big hit, because that looked like it wasn't near the scene of where Greg's yellow car wound up. So I wonder if someone kind of came up the inside and maybe had a hit. We're speculating, of course, but we'll try and find out a little bit later and see what exactly put both of them out. Just a real shame, since this was their first one. Hopefully the cars can get turned around and can race tomorrow, because I'd hate to see them miss out on both of the races due to the first lap of the first race.
And they had designs on running the endurance race together also. And, that could be a big setback there. I know Greg had a run-in with the tire wall in testing earlier this weekend, but nothing too significant there. It is interesting, though, and great to get to meet them, by the way, earlier in the weekend. Cool to see a father and daughter get to share this passion. They were telling me that, he really didn't have a huge interest in cars or racing until during COVID. They ended up watching a bunch of automotive shows together, and now Anna's looking at pursuing engineering in college, and they found first track days and now into competitive racing as something that they could do together, and they were having a really fun time this weekend, maybe until now.
So checking on other aspects of our championship fight, I'm seeing Jim Walsh is way down the order, and I don't think he started there, if I remember correctly.
Well, he's not shown as having done a lap either, I don't think so. Maybe was he?
You're right.
Yeah, maybe he was also involved in this. We were looking to see if there could have been a third car involved. Of course, that's a 992, so I think that might be a separate issue.
Yeah, could be that he may have not started this race. If he's not registering anything, then...
Well, I'm shown as he's done the first two sectors. I've got sector times for him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's a bit of a mystery at this stage.
If so, it's a real shame. He was focused on, after losing second in the Masters standings to Laura Eli. There was only 9 points between them. He was really wanting to try and get that spot back, and there was a realistic shot that he could do that in these two races, but this is going to make it so much harder if he's a DNF on this one. And I haven't seen his car, and we haven't seen him show up on pit lane, so if he was involved, then surely it's stopped somewhere over there.
Curiouser and curiouser. While we have the moment here, let's talk a bit to Aaron about your season. This is coming together kind of late. You joined the championship at Road America immediately on the pace, had a couple of podiums there, ran in the endurance race there as well, and now this morning, or this afternoon, I guess, the breakthrough win for you in Porsche Sprint Challenge.
Man, I feel so blessed at how fast the success has come in this platform. I couldn't have done it I couldn't have had this level of success without Charlie Hayes Racing. He's got so much expertise in these cars, and especially at this racetrack with the shop being right up the hill there. And just so many members of the team have been so welcoming for me and willing to work with me. And without him and the car owner, Matt Dusek, being willing to initially do the Enduro with me at Road America together, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to show what I can do in these cars. And just really grateful to them. Matt Dusek has a beautiful burnt orange GT3 Cup car out there, and it felt amazing to pass the checker flag first in it today.
And a great job and a great battle with Paul Bocuse, and we get to see it again tomorrow with the two of you starting up front once again. But for you, this is a special race. You're from Louisiana originally, but now you call the Bay Area home, and you've got a lot of your supporters out here this weekend, right?
Right. I actually went home last night, slept in my own bed.
That's
and then,
nice.
And then drove back up this morning, and I do a lot of coaching here with the Turn 2 Drivers Club that actually has a suite right over there in Turn 1. So I work there. It's like my office, and this weekend it's turned into a hospitality suite, and I have so many members and non-members here to support me, Caden, and so many of us from the club that are here racing this weekend. It feels like a special event for us.
It looked like it was a special one out there for you for sure. And watching these drivers, you're seeing guys like Blake McDonald lead, Kevin Woods look pretty solid. You had to fight your way up there. What's the difference between leading from the start and having to battle somebody for that lead?
Well, the straightaways here are so short, and these cars have so much power, and they stop so well with the ABS system. It's hard to pass. And someone like Paul Bocuse that's so fast, keeping constant pressure isn't really realistic to be that close and keeping extreme pressure on him. So you really have to pick the right times to push and try to set up a pass. And it's been a really good learning experience for me. It's a lot different than what I've been used to in the past, and having to win a race like that was awesome. Just trying to find ways to get a pass set up on Paul, who's a great driver. That was a really good learning experience for me, and it's great that Sprint Challenge North America has such a platform where I can learn this much out there. That was great.
It's definitely awesome to see drivers come in and get to prove themselves, such as like you did today. Now, where do you go from here, I guess, is the big question. Do you have plans for the future?
Man, I really wish I could have done more this season. I've learned so much in just 2 events, though. Like, I've condensed so much learning into the Road America event and then here at Sonoma, thanks to all the great people around me. And I think, this really helps you develop for a run at Carrera Cup, and that's a great series right now in North America with great drivers and just more of an opportunity to learn and compete against the best and show what you can do. So I think that's a good place for my career to go.
Oh, look forward to that. Yeah, absolutely, Ryan.
Let's talk about your background, getting started racing in Louisiana. Did road racing always have your attention? Could you have seen yourself as a Porsche driver all those years ago?
Oh, of course. I love all racing. I was a big NASCAR fan growing up, and what really attracted me to road racing is all of the merit-based scholarships and opportunities available so early on in your racing career. And the Team USA scholarship extremely early on for me was a big breakthrough, and I didn't have to do that much racing to get to that point and to get on that stage, which gave me financial support to keep going. And I noticed many series that give you incentive to be good and do well at it. So that for me was what really attracted me to go and pursue road racing when I could have chosen any to try. This one seemed the most realistic for that reason.
I bet you're the only one here that started racing in dirt go-karts, though.
Yeah, that was intense. Dirt oval go-karts, 1/10 of a mile, and some of the hardest racing I've ever done. And I can appreciate that experience more now, so many years later.
We've got the NASCAR youth program here this weekend. That's part of the USAC umbrella as well, running the quarter midgets up the hill. Have you been checking that out at all, seeing what those young folks are doing up there?
No, but I probably should.
Yeah, I think so. They haven't packed up and left yet, have they? Maybe they have for the day. But it's been a constant hive of activity there at the top of the hill with the quarter midget track they've got set up.
Let's see if I can slip into one of those.
Well, yeah, there we go. It looks like they're breaking it down a little bit. Actually, might be breaking it down for the rest of the weekend there, looks like.
Missed opportunity. I should have told you earlier.
Yeah, exactly. It was definitely fun to get to witness in between watching this racing, which has sadly slowed down just a little bit. And this is proving to be quite a long interruption that we've got, judging by the amount of pieces that were kind of moved around with the tire barriers. It's not too great of a surprise. I'm hoping that all the drivers are okay. I did see a medical vehicle coming back, but we have no information right now on their status, but just sending well wishes to all involved that nobody was hurt in what looked like could have been rather large.
Yeah, I know the Czechies well, and I really hope they're both okay. And knowing them and how much they just love to drive and compete, if they're all okay, their cars are repairable, they're gonna be out here driving if I know them. So wishing them all the best.
And like you said, a great team supporting them with that Charlie Hayes outfit, that they know how to put these cars back together if that's what they have to do. So
they'll do whatever it takes.
That's right. That's right. Well, you saw the start to this race and just how aggressive everyone was taking the first few laps. Going back to your own race, how important is it to get that track position when you have the opportunity?
Man, I was trying so hard the first lap to pass Paul, because once you get settled in and the person in front of you gets in a groove, it's just even harder to set something up on them, because you're just almost relying on a mistake, because you're usually racing around people that are your pace or close to it. So it's important to try to get on it soon, early, or you have to just wait for the right time after that and push the issue whenever it shows itself.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly saw that quite a bit. And this shrinks the time down in this race. I can only imagine, Aaron, that this is going to put a lot of pressure on drivers to maybe take a few more risks if they feel like they've got the pace but not the position they need.
I know. It's going to be interesting all throughout the field. I'm really excited to see what Anthony McIntosh does in second. I know him very well. I know he's going to want to win this thing, and we'll see if he tries to push the issue really early on whenever it goes back green.
So I can see a few safety vehicles still down at the end of the hairpin. So I don't know exactly what state we're in. Oh, we still have a car being loaded on the flatbed, actually. So Greg's car is still trying to be removed. Definitely looks like it was in a bit of an awkward position, wedged all the way into the corner. So that makes life difficult for them, no doubt. But they're trying to do their best to get out there as quickly as they can, but also without damaging the car any more than it already has been.
It strikes me that one thing this yellow has also done, at least for the leaders, is it's taken the prospects of the multi-class element of the race maybe out of the equation. There isn't a huge pace disparity between the two platforms here this weekend. So actually where the multi-class thing could be interesting is the front of the Cayman field is now right at the back of the GT3 Cup field, and how those guys mix it up together could be fascinating. And looking ahead to the endurance race, especially later on in the weekend, Aaron, how do you expect that interplay to go between the Caymans and the Cup cars?
Man, it's such a shorter track than my prior experience at Road America. I think it's going to be a lot of traffic management, efficient, not losing time from having to pass slower cars. That's going to be so important in your lap time and your pace in the Enduro.
Yeah. We saw in some of the testing, in fact, there was a special endurance test session earlier in the week. They had not done that previously, and I think the thought there was to get drivers used to running in a multi-class format like that. But saw some pretty late moves down into the chicane in a couple of places like this. Do you think everyone's got the kinks worked out at this stage?
I sure hope so.
I guess we'll find out together, won't we?
Well, one thing that I did notice on our timing and scoring is Race Control had a message about the GT3 Cup start under review. So
got a guess.
Oh, okay.
All right. When we were coming to green, it looked like a flock of geese, right, forming a V formation. Race Control really likes them in two distinct columns, not getting out of line, not fanning out like that. And the problem is, looked to me like most of the field was doing it. So I don't know where you point the finger on that one, but that would be the guess that what might be being looked at by the stewards.
Yeah, that'll be interesting if it does affect things. We'll see if we get any updates on that a little bit later. But with how close things are looking like they might be, since the racing will be so truncated, any time penalties could hurt that little bit more if anybody finds himself victim of that. Just in case you were wondering, McDonald currently leads in the Pro-Am. Then you've got Kevin Woods leading down in the Masters. Down in the Caymans, the Pro-Am's being led by Eli Kogan. And actually second overall of the Caymans, Richard Kenzie is leading the Masters currently. Michael Gawke much farther down, currently in 4th. So it looks like Michael's got some work to do if he wants to get another of his many victories he's had in that Cayman class in this series.
Well, we can talk a little bit, Chev, about the championships here, certainly for the Cup cars. The leaders in their respective classes are set to clinch titles as they run right now with Blake McDonald and Kevin Woods. So really not thinking too much about points. Both of them have big leads. That might, I wonder, factor into the back of the mind of one Tony McIntosh, who's second at the moment, someone you know well, Aaron, from racing together in MX5 Cup as teammates over there. Do you think he's thinking about Blake's points battle at this stage, or is he pretty focused on trying to go get a win for himself?
No
here?
way. That guy, I know he knows how to get his elbows out.
Yep.
So Blake seems really strong. So I'm not sure if Tony, how much he'll have for him, but I know he's going to give it his best shot.
Well, Anthony, in his first 2 races back at Road America, came home with a 2nd and a 1st. So I'd say he is likely to be pushing. I just noticed that must be recent. Looks like they have a lot of oil dry down there heading into turn 7. So that could be significant in any attempts to pass Ryan if the grip is down there.
Well, you put it to me, but I'm going to put it to Aaron. How do you view this if you're coming to this corner at speed for the first couple of laps?
I think it puts the leader in a tough spot. He may just have to, assuming he gets a great run out of turn 6, just may need to back it up just a hair in turn 7 and, assume there's a little bit less grip. I think second lap, he's going to be good to go for sure. So could create an opportunity for Tony on the first lap. But we'll see how it goes.
Look at the absolutely massive damage on Checky's car as the flatbed brings it back in. I can tell you from the other side, although we can't really see it from this angle, I'm looking out the window and left side of the car is pretty secondhand, unfortunately. We'll need another lap around with that vehicle being out on the circuit. And yeah, there we can see a few close-ups from up front where it is got both front and rear damage, and the left-hand side just is practically obliterated.
And the good news is Porsche builds a really safe race car, and we certainly hope for the best news for everybody involved, but that was not a small impact there. But ultimately, that's what the cars are designed to withstand. And, we'll just wait for confirmation. But tough start to the race weekend for both Greg and Anna Checky making their debuts, but it only lasted down to the end of that drag strip on the opening lap here today.
Just trying to check in on that battle for third in the Pro-Ams, and right now James Lee is sitting at a very good position. He's 4th while Luke French is down in 8th. There's about 17 points between them, and I'll have to check to see what that's going to do points-wise on the swing if they finish in those positions. So James Lee probably going to be looking to try and consolidate this if his crew is in his ear letting him know the 215 is way down the order in comparison. Now they do have Kevin Woods between them, our leader in the Masters, so that takes away at least one of the positions, which will put French, I think, 7th in class in comparison to James Lee's 4th. So we'll keep tabs on that once we get this going once again. And was trying to see if I could see where that flatbed went, if they've got that pulled in, because the lights are still on the safety car right now.
Unfortunate to lose so much of this race to the yellow. These are short races, just 35 minutes plus 1 lap. What are you doing behind the wheel, Aaron, to try and stay focused, make sure you're ready to go when the green flag comes back out again?
Well, there's not much you can do. I'm going to keep getting updates from my team on how much time's remaining and how the cleanup process is going, and a rough estimate of when the race might go green again. That way, when the time's right, I can start making sure I'm getting heat back in my tires and just make sure my car is prepared, whenever the green flag comes back out.
How long of a process is that to prep the car, prep the tires, prep the brakes? Can you do it in half a lap? Do you need a full lap?
It depends how hard you work them. Whenever the lights go out on the safety car, I know we got 1 more lap remaining. I'd like to have a lap to work them in how I want without a lot of pressure, working them in. But it kind of depends on where your pressures are at as well. So a lap should be plenty. That's how much you have on the outlap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if we could get some shots of the 233 car, because Reinhold Kron had quite a wreck himself earlier on in the qualifying session. And those who were watching it will probably be wondering how they got that car turned around. Well, they had a spare chassis with this being a weekend with the endurance races. So they pulled that one out, had to start from the back of his class, and he's been doing his best to move forward. But unfortunately hasn't had much time to actually move forward in this race, as we've only had a half a lap of green flag.
Yeah, that's been frustrating for Reinhold, another one of the Charlie Hayes Racing drivers. He was just over in Belgium racing at in a 12-hour race at Spa. I have not had the chance to meet Reinhold yet, but I understand you would know him pretty well, right? You're racing under the same tent?
Yeah, I've been getting to know him pretty well. It's been an up-and-down weekend for CHR, obviously. These guys have been working really hard at it, and hated to see that incident with him, in qualifying. I'm really happy to see him back out there and glad he had a spare car to do it. So whenever we get the race going underway, hope he can make up a few spots and, enjoy his race.
Charlie was telling me that he had a couple Ironman stints in that Spa Enduro.
That was fun watching them do that, man. I followed it for as many hours as I could because it was a pretty long race. And, I didn't – they told me how physical the car was after that. I'm like, you didn't already know that before? They're like, well, we're driving it for several hours. So, yeah, it'll give you a workout. You better come prepared whenever you go to one of those events.
Can only imagine how tiring that must be by the end of things. And these drivers aren't going to be as tired, but they're probably tired of pacing around at this stage. And lights are still on, but we do still have more in the lap before they could potentially turn those off and confirm that we could potentially be starting. We'll keep our eyes peeled on that one. There could be some other work being done around that we can't see right now. And yeah, there is that oil dry coming down and right in to turn 7 and also across the racing line as well. Would you try to enter that one a little bit more shallow, Aaron, with it kind of coming across where you would want to go, or well, it looks like they're actually trying to maybe kick it up a little bit here and clear it?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I think, we have enough pace laps here, and especially once the lights go off, you have another opportunity to try it. You can charge up to it slightly and break into it under the pace laps and just start testing the grit, feel how much is there, and that'll give you an idea for whenever the race goes green again. But yeah, if I can blow up some smoke behind me and hurt the visibility of the cars behind, I don't mind doing that.
No. You wouldn't play that game, would you? You seem like such a polite guy.
Well, thank you.
No, I suppose you do what you got to do to win one of these races. They're hard to win, as you know, at any level of motorsports. How about the transition into the Porsche? People often talk about the fact that a 911 takes a distinct driving style to go fast. Has that been your experience?
So with I have a lot of momentum racing experience, so I know how to go out, extract speed, drive on the limit quickly, and drive close to other cars. And in the 911s, whenever I first went out in them, it surprised me how fast it was. And I felt like I could drive to the limit of the tire in the car relatively quickly, but the car is nuancy. And that's where a lot of the experience I gained from CHR and everyone around me has really helped me push past those barriers pretty quickly. And I think they designed a car that's difficult enough to drive where Porsche can really develop and spot, up-and-coming talent. Because the car is so tricky to drive to that maximum ability.
And you were telling me off air, your co-driver in the endurance race at Road America, Elliott Skier, who's going for an SRO championship in a week's time. What a great asset to have, someone who's won in these types of cars in his career, so much experience in Porsches, to have his data side by side with your own. What kind of things could you glean from him?
Oh, a lot. I mean, I have everything. It's not surprised. It was amazing for me to see his talent firsthand as someone that should have been in the spotlight years ago at the stage he's at now, because he's so good. And I could learn something from him with everything he did. So it was a huge asset for me to have at that stage. It's just a great benchmark every session I went out. And he was more than willing to help me in many ways.
Having a career year this year, I think it's safe to say, in GT3 cars, has a chance to win not just the championship, but maybe that 8-hour race at Indianapolis next weekend that we're all looking forward to. Lights off on the safety car, so we're looking forward to a restart as well. I suspect this is going to be worth the wait with 8 minutes plus a lap remaining.
Yeah, this is going to be a very, very short race. Anybody who was looking to try and take some positions are going to be hungry and lack any sort of patience to try and make those overtakes. So backing them up already, Blake McDonald prepares himself and the field to get ready for this restart. Safety car aims itself for the pit entry and gives over the control to that number 208. Anthony McIntosh breathing down his neck, knowing there is limited time. Patrick Mulcahy is in there, seeing an excellent opportunity for himself. James Lee wanting another position back as an early acceleration from Blake McDonald takes us off to racing once again for the first time in many laps under caution with 7:30 left to go plus one lap. Up into turn 2. It's a good start for McDonald, getting himself clear of McIntosh.
Immediately back into the rhythm. McDonald pulls a gap up around half a second or so over the pursuing Tony McIntosh. Then you get Mulcahy and Lee. They're fighting hard for 3rd and 4th right now. That could be a battle to keep an eye on. Really, really tight. Further back, it was side by side at the top of the hill. It looks like everyone was able to get sorted out. Everyone chasing Blake McDonald at the front of the field with under 7 minutes to go.
And already distancing themselves as well. Look at the gap. They're starting to pull over Mulcahy. They're pushing hard. And I guess the nice thing is, Aaron, with it being such a short race, is there's no tire saving here. This is go 100%.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's fun to watch for that reason, and you have to take every opportunity you can right now and try even harder to create them. So if I'm Tony, I'm driving the wheels off this thing, just trying to get back up there and create an opportunity.
Well, he's starting to lose touch, unfortunately. Many car lengths back at this stage. We'll see what it is once they cross the timing line, how much Blake has managed to pull off. This is kind of how he's been racing much of the season, although lately he has been caught by a couple drivers. James Lee, in particular, has been faster than him. Unfortunately, James has been starting on the back foot, and in fact, it seems like he's going for a move coming down into the hairpin. You can see him trying to attack the blue and white car of Patrick Mulcahy, but no dice this time.
Got alongside, but couldn't make it stick around the outside there through the hairpin. But this is not done yet. Mulcahy under heaps of pressure here from James Lee. Single file up the hill, and this is a huge climb. Massive elevation change in a short amount of time. Lee at the doorstep now, might be putting the bumper to Mulcahy just a little bit. Super tight, throws the nose up the inside, and then backs out of it at the last minute.
Oh, as close as you want it to get, and thankfully he did not turn him, but once he got chopped off, he pulled out of there in a hurry, and look at what that has done with Sam Parnagian starting to approach and make this a train. He's bringing along Kevin Woods, who isn't in any sort of fight here, with Josh Conley also behind them.
Really close stuff all throughout this field. At the front, still McDonald. The lead was 1.2 seconds at the line, but this is 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th overall, and on the road right here, nose to tail. They're able to tiptoe through this section of the track with all that oil dried down. No one in any duress at the moment, but very, very close battles here for the final step of the podium in the Pro-Am class.
Casey Dennis also looking slightly out of position back there in 8th. Oh, there's another look down to the inside. Oh, and he's going to actually get his nose in once again, and for the second time in one lap, he has to back out. Look at how much that hurt his momentum. Here comes Parnagian trying to see if he can cut across at turn 10 to give himself the inside into 11, but he's not quite there. Lee is playing a dangerous game. He needs to be on the attack, but he's making himself supremely vulnerable.
Well, he's just wanted to do some racing, Joe, because he didn't get to start either of the races at Road America, one of several drivers that was caught out in some of the chaos that erupted over the course of that weekend. But then having to sit behind the safety car for the bulk of this first race back, he wants to get back to victory lane. 3 wins on the season. Doesn't look like there's a win in the cards here today, but he could get back on the podium for the first time since Laguna Seca race 1 back over the summer.
Based on what we've seen in the first 2 races, never say never. You just don't know what's going to happen out there. If Tony manages to catch up to Blake, we could have a fight that goes sour and allows the 3rd place driver to inherit the lead. But again, all just wondering what's going to happen from here as the now red, white, black, and silver car of James Lee continues to hunt on Patrick Mulcahy. He's going to show himself a little bit. Brakes much, much deeper coming down into the turn 7 hairpin.
Huge news from race control. Improper start procedure for car 208. That's the leader, Blake McDonald, who owes a drive-through penalty. That is stunning.
And for Blake, this won't mean a whole lot. Casey Dennis is the one he's trying to beat in the championship. Here comes another go from James Lee. This time he's a little farther alongside. He's given a bit more space down at the apex and doesn't lose as much speed. He's getting closer and closer, Aaron. This is starting to look like this might be a matter of time.
I can really appreciate how those two drivers drove so hard into that turn 9 chicane and did it clean. He's going for it again. Oh, man. What a battle.
Patrick is basically performing rhinoplasty out there. He's chopped the nose off so many times. I'm impressed at how gutsy he is to cut down to the apex, because I kept expecting time after time that there was going to be a turned car.
There's a lot of trust on display between these two, Mulcahy and Lee. What a great drive from both of them and putting on a show for us. For Mulcahy, not running a full season this year, did get his first podium of the season the last time out, trying to make it back-to-back podiums if he can hang on, but that could be difficult to do. James Lee looking very threatening over the last few laps.
Well, I said that those you never know what's going to happen with the leaders, and so now once Blake McDonald serves his penalty, this means that it'll be a battle for potentially second out there between Patrick and James. Watching behind them, Parnagian with Kevin Woods just behind. And again, Kevin is not in the same class. It's just for overall. And I've had this conversation with Kevin countless times, because he always seems to be mixed up even more with the Pro-Ams than he is with the Masters. He knows how to handle this, and he is a very patient character.
He is. He's got a lot of experience racing at a high level. He's a multi-time champion in the predecessor to this series, the Trophy West series that ran for a number of years. Also won a Lotus Cup championship back about a decade or so ago. So he's been in these positions before. He's been in these title battles. Looks like he's set to lock up his class championship here today, but doesn't want to interfere too much with all the fights that he's currently stuck in the middle of.
And we see Blake McDonald on our screen there heading into pit lane. He's serving the penalty. So Tony McIntosh, now our new leader of the Pro-Am class and of the race overall. Mulcahy to second, Lee to third. And I know we haven't talked about it a whole lot, but it is still Eli Kogan leading in the Pro-Ams of our Caymans. Richard Kinsey still leading in the Masters down there.
Well, that penalty is just so painful here. It's about a 37-second delta to do the drive through the pit lane, and we're doing laps at about a minute and 40 seconds. So we're talking roughly a third of a lap that you lose, a little bit more than that with a drive-through penalty. That is so costly. Now the good news, if you can say that, I guess, is that the championship is pretty much done and dusted for Blake, so it's not going to cost him there, but you know he wanted to go out with a bang and to park that car in victory lane here at Sonoma. He won't do it today. Maybe he'll be able to bounce back tomorrow.
Yeah, for the championship, it was 105 points coming in between himself and Casey Dennis. So it wasn't just that Casey Dennis needs to finish ahead of him, which he will in this case. He needs to finish ahead of him and outscore him by a certain number of points. So, and in fact, I'm seeing it looks like 44 points he needs to outscore him by, and I don't think there's enough cars that he can do that today.
No, don't think so either.
All right, we're going to get the white flag for Anthony McIntosh with about a 2-second lead last time by over Patrick Mulcahy. That battle rages on for P2. There is our overall leader getting the 1-to-go signal. He brings that multicolored car through, looking for a potential back-to-back win.
Big result for McIntosh. Had a great weekend at Road America. Finished second in race 1, won the second race. That was his first start at USA West, but he had made 3 starts this season in the North America Championship, including a podium in the season opener at Sebring. But a chance to go back-to-back here and really announce his presence in style. I think he might have had a chance to put some pressure on for the lead on track, but he'll certainly take it with the penalty going the way of McDonald, and now he's half a lap away from that second victory of the season.
Sometimes you take what you can get when it arrives out there. And the 224, I don't think will look this gift horse in the mouth, knowing that it's going to be another win potentially. As 2.5 seconds behind now, Patrick Mulcahy looks like he's maybe put a bit more of a gap on Lee since we last looked, so it looks like that may have died down somewhat. Kevin Woods also well out of the reaches of Dmitry Novikov, who is the next vehicle down in Masters category. We've got just a couple more corners to go. Looked like a bit of a look back there in the background from James Lee for that second position, but just not quite enough for him. That bright blue car is hard to miss, especially when it comes home with the hardware. Anthony McIntosh wins USA West race number 1. Going to be a nice second place for Mulcahy. James Lee with a solid third for himself. And then Kevin Woods will cross the line to clinch his championship unofficially in that Masters category. Checking in with Eli Kogan. He hasn't had too many competitors to race against in the Pro-Am down there in this season, but more showed up here today for our first race. And emphatically, he has come in and said, you can throw many more drivers at me, but it's not going to make me shy away from the top step of the podium. As the 50 comes out of the final turn, and that is victory for Eli Kogan in the Pro-Am Caymans.
We just wait for our Masters leader, Richard Kinsey, who looks set to take home his 5th win of the season. Didn't run at Road America the last time out, but has not finished worse than 3rd in a race all year long. He's put together a really nice, consistent run, and there he is across the line, taking the checkered flag for win number 5 of 2024.
Well, that is the last race of the day, but we've got more coming with the podium ceremonies in a bit, so I'll head off to those here. And it was truncated racing, Ryan, but it was good racing.
It was worth the wait, I think it's safe to say. Unfortunately, just didn't get quite enough of it, not as much as we would have liked. And a really disappointing day for some folks that were really looking forward to the chance to race here today. But that said, congratulations to the race winners, to all those champions as well that got their championships clinched here today. Aaron, what was your takeaway from watching race 1 for USA West?
Well, it ended up being a pretty short race, and I think that for that reason, the drive-through penalty hurt Blake even more. His pace was so blistering. Had it gone green, it may not have hurt him position-wise that much. Thankfully for his championship, it didn't cost him anything there, and for Tony, your job when you're out there as a race car driver is to maximize your day. Whatever is available to you, you take it. He did that, and you got to take those blessings when they come, because there's just as many times whenever things don't go your way that aren't your fault than whenever they do go your way. So he drove a great race.
You know him well. How excited is he going to be when Joe goes to talk to him on the podium?
Oh, he loves to win. He'll be happy.
And he's used to doing it, too. He's a Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion, won the World Final as well in his class last year, now making the shift over to Porsches, and has had a lot of success, done a really nice job. So cool stuff all around. We'll leave you with this, Aaron. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we got pole. You think you can keep it up there and make it a clean sweep of the weekend?
Yeah, I don't see why not. CHR is giving me a rocket out there. The car's doing what I need it to, and now I'll have some clean air to work with. So I'll see what I can do to create a gap, manage it, go from there, and come away with a sweep of the weekend. I think that'd be awesome.
Might we see you at more Porsche Sprint Challenge events in the future?
As long as I keep racing Porsches, yeah, you'll see me again.
Fantastic. Well, it was wonderful to meet you. Great to have you up here, and thank you for your insight, especially shedding some light on some of the personalities that you've had the chance to race against or race with at various times in your career. That's Aaron Johnson. Keep an eye on him, folks. He's going places. For now, we will be going to the podium very, very soon. We'll take a quick time out. Back with you in just a moment. Joe Peak will have your podium celebration for Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West race number 1 in just a few minutes.
Drivers, if you finished on the podium, please head over for podium celebrations. Drivers, please head over for podium celebrations.
It's time to celebrate our class winners and podium finishers. Let's go down to the podium and Joe Peak.
All right, it's time for Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West, our podium ceremonies. We're going to start it off with the Cayman Masters. Finishing third today, driving the number 32, it's Rod Wagner. Then finishing second, driving the number 43, Paul Bonderson. And our winner today in the number 28, Richard Kenzie. Congratulations, Richard. Victory today, but in a bit of a shortened race. Did that make it harder with everybody so much closer by the end?
Well, I think it did. We were all bunched up. I had a fight there to the end with another class, but it was tight. Yeah.
Obviously, that also meant that there wasn't really traffic coming through, though. Did that help that you could at least focus on your competitors and not have to watch the mirror so much?
Yeah, I think so. There wasn't any traffic issues. It was just race.
That's always a plus. Well, congratulations on the win. That's Richard Kenzie taking victory in the Cayman Masters. And of course, to celebrate that victory, why don't we spray some champagne? Congratulations to the winners in the Cayman Masters here in USA West. That takes us now to the Cayman Pro-Ams. Finishing third, driving the number 21, Anna Checky. Coming home in P2, jumping into the series this weekend, it's the number 85 of Rafa Martinez. And our winner has gotten very familiar with this top spot. It's the driver of the number 50, Eli Kogan. Excellent job, Eli. And you've been a little bit lonely out there at times this season. You had a little bit more company and make it more fun for you?
Yeah, a lot of fun. Good having some cars in the class. Weekend didn't start so good. I put it in the wall second lap in the first practice, so didn't get any practice. Team got the car together, and good finish and dicey race with that fluid down there.
I've heard a lot of drivers say knowledge of this track is pretty important. Do you feel like that made the job a lot more difficult to lack the practice?
Yeah, first time here, got to know the wall really well, but it's definitely a really technical track, nowhere to breathe, nowhere to kind of refocus, so a lot of work, and team did a great job at AutoWorks getting the car ready again, and just happy to be up here.
Well, I think you need to give yourself some credit as well for a great drive to the win for Eli Kogan. Let's hold up those trophies and show them off for the cameras. And of course, I'm sure you'd like to spray some champagne. That's our winners in the Cayman Pro-Ams. Big congratulations to them. We also have our Apexin Award. This goes to the hard charger of the race. Today, driving the number 28, that goes to Richard Kenzie. That's the Yokohama Apexin Award. Now that takes us to our 992 Masters. Starting with third place, driving the number 209, it's Laura Eli. Then finishing P2 today in the number 232, Kyle Washington. And our winner today in the number 294, Kevin Woods. Congratulations, Kevin. Once again, I mean, this has been a broken record all season. You were stuck in the middle of all the racing with the Pro-Ams up there.
Yeah, a little worrisome, but everybody drove a good race, so I just tried to stay out of trouble, which I was able to do, and come home in first place. So it's really a great testament to the team, the engineer, my mechanics, everybody at BR Racing. Fantastic year.
This also should mean that the points are locked up for you. What does this mean for race 2? Is this going to help you relax and really go for it in that one?
I think so. Yeah, tomorrow should be fun.
Well, we look forward to that fun, and congratulations on the fun today. A win for Kevin Woods. And I'm pretty sure here in wine country, our drivers would like to spray some champagne. People taking advantage of the champagne here for the 992 Masters. Big congrats to everybody coming home with a top 3 here today at Sonoma. And finally, we have the 992 Pro-Ams. Finishing third today, driving the number 255, it's James Lee. Then in P2, driving the 254, withstanding immense pressure, Patrick Mulcahy. And our winner in the number 224, he was there when it counts, Tony McIntosh. Awesome work there, Tony. We were talking about up in the booth once the penalty was handed down to Blake, whether some drivers like to win no matter what and others that kind of don't count it as much. How does it feel for you? Are you happy with the win, or is it a little bit dampened?
I do want to give a shout out to Blake because he drove fantastic the entire time. He was quick every session. He did a great job qualifying. But the guys at JTR put together an awesome car. I would have liked to really had gone the distance, but you take the win. You take the win, and it is what it is. But big shout out to JTR. They gave me an amazing car. Big shout out to my coach Parker for trying to dial me in and stop trying to be a wheel man all the time. And I think it's working. I don't know. We'll see.
You've come into this West Series with a second, a first, and now another first. You feel like you've shown yourself well to your competitors?
I think so. I'm knocking on 50 years old here in a couple of months, so I don't know. I still want to come out here, and it's good that you come out to the West Coast and to mix it up with guys in their backyard, and it's good to get punched in the face a little bit. I like that.
I like that response. Congratulations to our winner here today, Anthony McIntosh. Let's show off those trophies. And for the last time today, let's also spray some champagne. Congratulations to the 992 Pro-Am winners here today. That's going to wrap up the racing for Saturday. We've got more coming tomorrow. Make sure and tune in or come back to the track if you're here. I'm Joe Peak. Race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.